and welcome to 3D, the Development Design Digest, where we unpack design thinking and how it's applied to development. We look at the innovative ways of solving the pernicious problems of intergenerational poverty, because we know that siloed solutions don't work. In a country where there's 1/8 of humanity and a small bit of land, we have to think more innovatively outside the proverbial box and use something called design thinking to find development solutions, where we go to the end user and ask them what they want, rural Indians, not just what they need, but what they want, so that they can get the resources to have the equal opportunities that everyone in the country has. And most pivotal to that, of course, is agriculture, because 70% of rural Indians rely on agriculture for their income. And that's why I'm joined today by Ashok Kumar, who isn't just the Director of Agriculture at Transform Rural India, and that's a development design practice focused on rural India, but Ashok Kumar is the Director of Agriculture Prosperity. And there's a difference that we're going to dig into. And by the way, he happens to be one of the nicest people I know, always has a smile, a great laugh, and such great energy. I want to start with you first, Ashok, and find out how you got into this area of work from agriculture to development. What's your story?
Yeah, when I was studying agriculture, I was thinking what I'm going to do with the knowledge that I am getting and who are the end users. And then I got an opportunity to work with the smallholder farmers. Then I found where my knowledge is helping and where it is not helping, and what else can be done. What were the limitations of our education system and the farmers' expectations and their demands. So that I found quite challenging and exciting. Then I stayed to work with people rather than technology or markets.
Aha, because you're a people person.
Yeah.
Did you come from an agricultural background? Your
Yes,
family?
yes, we are first generation people coming out of the village. So all my parents and my grandparents, they are all farmers. So we had first hand exposure to the context of smallholder farmers, then what they want and how they live.
And that's what I wanted to ask, because there's this notion that, you know, you've got the big rich farmers, but India is full of smallholder farmers.
Yes.
There's a massive amount of people that have even less than an acre of land,
yeah,
right?
Right.
There's an expression in Hindi which I'm going to try and say, "Garib logo ke liye garib vichar," right?
Yes.
And that means that even the thoughts are poor.
Yeah.
Which is something that many people apply to rural farmers.
Yeah.
And this is something that you agree with?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Tell me why.
Yeah, because those people, though we call them like poor in the context that they have small pieces of land, it doesn't mean that they need poor thoughts or poor interventions. To bring them and to help them to meet their aspirations, they need best of the technology, best of the support, and best of resources. And only then they can be helped, because little amount of incremental change is not going to help them. So it is a wastage of resources. So if you want to bring them out of their problem or their struggles, they need very best investment with them. So we need to reflect upon us that गरीब लोगों के लिए गरीब विचार से काम नहीं चलेगा. We have to think very best for these people.
I think that's so true, because you think just because, oh, they have just a small patch of land, therefore we don't have to give them anything fancy.
Yeah.
And yet actually, when you have just a tiny bit of land, you need to maximize that.
Right.
And you need cutting edge technology, right?
Right.
And that's the difference between just agriculture and agriculture prosperity,
Right.
which is what you're trying to bring in, correct?
Yeah. That
What are some of the areas right now that you think are most needed in agriculture in India?
Yeah. First thing is change in mindset. First, we have to help the farmers, the families, that from subsistence agriculture to prosperity. Because what I believe, something happens on the ground, before that it happens in the head and heart. So here we have to engage with them and make them believe that there are possibilities, there are potential, and there are opportunities outside, and you can do it. So first, starting with them, so it is kind of a change in perspective. From there the work starts. After that, they are exposed to things that is happening around them, what is happening in the market, what is happening in the arena of technology, what is happening, what other farmers are doing in the nearby or some nearby area in the similar socio-economic and biophysical context. They are changing their lives. So it helps them to change their mindset, and we work with the collectives. Fortunately, with the kind of collectivization of women, Now the large number of poor people are coming together, and there is a place where they interact very closely. So working with these collectives and farmers to developing their perspective, and second is exposure of them to the very best technology and the markets, and third is creating a supportive ecosystem around them that supports them in their adventure. So first when they prepare for the change, then there is then creating a supporting condition of government, markets, and the community. So what in TRI called Samaj, Sarkar and Bazaar. So this is the part of our ecosystem that we develop around the smallholder farmer collectives.
And that's part of design thinking and development solutions, isn't it? Not just working in one area, but saying, how can we connect all the dots?
Yes.
How can we bring that together? Because it's no good being focused on one area and improving one area if you don't actually have you can produce all the mangoes that you want, but if you don't have the roads or the markets to sell those mangoes, what's the point, right?
Yeah, and even before that, growing good quality mangoes, you need kind of a connect with the technology providers or the input providers.
Of course.
So it is kind of a pre-production, production and post-production, this whole ecosystem. So there is a lot of synergy, and it is a permanent solution. So I believe after a few years, nobody is required. This ecosystem will take part of whatever is happening in the villages.
Sustainable. So let's go back a bit before we talk about the prosperity of what you believe you can bring prosperity to people whose dreams maybe don't even go there yet. First, I want to talk about the issues that India's had. We had the fabulous green revolution that saved thousands and thousands, millions of lives. But the result of that is monocropping that has been very hard on Indian soil and on Indian farmers. Can we talk a little bit about monocropping and what your work is trying to change that?
Yeah, actually India is quite a diverse country. If you look at the people, farmers are diverse. Their resource endowments, their skill sets and their aspirations are very different. There are very different contexts they are working. At the same time, the geography is also very different. We have different agroclimatic zones. We have river basins, we have mountains, we have deserts, we have arid areas, we have marshlands. So this is very different, very diverse context in which only one kind of solution is not going to work. Definitely green revolution has solved one problem,
right,
but it has not solved all the problems. So we need different approaches to address these diverse problems, and that require diversity in approach and diversity in interventions. So in technical language, people say it is intensification and diversification. So green revolution has intensified the production. We intensified the production of our staple food grains that made India self-sustained in food grain. But at the same time, we need diversification to basically take advantage of the diverse people and diverse landscape that is around them. So our approach is kind of building on this diversification part.
Right, and multi-cropping is a huge part of that too.
Yeah, multi-cropping, even including animals into the cropping system.
So you can be growing some vegetables here, some pulses here,
yeah, some millets
keeping
there,
some livestock over there. And on a small patch of land.
Right.
I visited you in Jharkhand last year, and I tasted some amazing strawberries.
Right.
And you think of Maharashtra as a place of strawberries, but you don't think of Jharkhand way up in way much further north than Maharashtra as being a place where you can get strawberries. Tell me the strawberry story and also the sweet potato story. I'm from Texas in America, where the sweet potatoes are this color, and I came to India, couldn't find any sweet potatoes like that. It's a superfood. It's very popular, and you're helping bring these kind of diverse crops into Jharkhand, where people never would have thought of growing them, much less consuming them. Is that right?
Yeah, they are consuming. Yeah. So now, first coming to the strawberry story. So many times in our development world, people say that it is a very risky thing and poor people cannot take a lot of risks. So let us design something that is less riskier for them. But from my experience, we find that these farmer profiles are very different, and they are taking enormous amount of risk every day. Every day they are taking the risks of doing many things. So I believe that they are risk takers. So at the same time, their aspirations are also very high. With the kind of new exposures and new connections they are getting, basically their aspirations are increasing. One. Second, at the same time, now the technology and markets are emerging all around them. So how we can help smallholder farmers to take advantage of that? And we believe that yes, if it can happen in Mahabaleshwar, in Maharashtra, it can happen anywhere, because they are the farmers, they are the people who are doing it.
Yep.
And we understood some of these the constraining conditions like agroecological compatibility, found that yes, Jharkhand agroclimatic conditions are compatible to grow strawberries. We basically consulted some farmers who are growing there, and we believe that the smallholder, this is a high value crop.
Yeah.
And for smallholder farmers who have small resources, a small piece of land, and now the women coming to farming, they are doing a lot of work. So these kind of crops can suit them very well, because this is a high value crop and it suits to the land and climate that they have, and it doesn't require the drudgery of growing crops like paddy and other crops where require heavy machinery and
Right.
animals to do that. Yeah, a lot of water and a lot of work. And so for the women farmers, this suits very well. And the strawberries, they click like anything. Now farmers growing strawberries in say about 2000 square feet of land, they are earning more than 25-30,000 rupees. So it almost doubles their cash flows.
Amazing.
And the same time it creates space for the women, other men farmers, they are coming, oh, this lady is growing strawberries, so she must be a very smart lady. And and it changes the kind of mindset of people,
and improves the women's agency as well. They have more respect, they have more value in the community, and people look to them.
Right. They come for them, from where you got the plants, and can you help me, I also want to grow these things. So it helps them.
So is it spiraling?
It is spiraling, and now there is since it is a market oriented crop, now a lot of ecosystem is now developed. Now there are nurseries coming in nearby areas who are providing the sapling right on time. So these women can go and purchase the planting material in their nearby area, and there is a lot of demand in the markets, and other traders are coming and buying. And there are other service providers like the people who provide the packaging boxes, and the local people who are transporting it to the nearby cities. So there is a ecosystem being created around that, and I believe now it doesn't need much of our interventions. Now people are pulling, they are demanding, and the market is supplying them.
And talk about a design solution. You've found out what they need. You're helping not just one area, but so many other areas. You're bringing the pre-production, the production, and the market all together, and it's now creating its own ripple effect.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. And the same with sweet potatoes?
Yes, with the same with the sweet potatoes. Like you work in the area where sweet potatoes are there, they are cultivating it. There's nothing new about it, but it is a very traditional, this white flesh sweet potato, and that is a very specific market where it goes. Then we learnt about kind of a biofortified sweet potato variety that flesh is golden color, and it is very rich in beta carotene. So that is a vitamin A. This is a vitamin A component, and we find that these poor people eat a lot of sweet potatoes. So we thought that it can help them to have good nutrition, at the same time to catch a very different market.
Yes. Because
there are entrepreneurs in Odisha and nearby places, they make sweet potato chips, and they prefer these colored sweet potatoes. And when we talked with them, they were very much excited to purchase all the sweet potatoes from there. Then we connect with the Central Tuber Crop Research Institute, who provided the high quality planting material, and NABARD providing the financial resources, and local nursery entrepreneurs who developed nurseries and provided a lot of planting material for 1,000 farmers in 1 year. So the nursery entrepreneurs, who are the local ladies and local youth who got the parent material from Central Tuber Crop Research Institute, they multiplied it and supplied it to 1,000 farmers. And the entrepreneur who came, who looked at the crop and provided the purchase orders. I am going to buy all the sweet potatoes that you guys are cultivating. And in this whole game, there was a FPO, supported by NABARD. So this farmer producer organization was also there. So it collected all the sweet potatoes from the farmers, and they get around 50% higher price than the normal sweet potatoes. So now it has created a lot of buzz, and it happened at a scale, like 1,000 farmers in one block are cultivating. Now other farmers are also interested. So this year around 20 entrepreneurs are basically providing planting material in the local area, because now for planting material we need not to go again to Central Tuber Crop Research Institute, because there are local entrepreneurs who are providing the vines. So now the ecosystem is being created.
That's right. Wonderful. So it started with Samaj Sakar Bazaar, and now it's sort of become this independent, market-driven.
Right. Community and market-driven.
Yes, community and market-driven. Yeah. And what I loved about that is it's a solution that's not just about giving livelihood and resources and skills, but also health and nutrition.
Yes.
You're improving the palate, plate of farmers and their families. As you say, they rely a lot on sweet potatoes. Now they can get the beta carotene and the superfood in there as well. One of the problems, perennial problems in India, as you say, it's a diverse country with lots of different geographies. Some places flood, but drought is also a problem, and irrigation is a problem. This is an area you've worked a lot in, and you have had wonderful success with your Irrigation for All program. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, the context where we work with the smallholder farmers, we understood that good control over water is very important to sustain the agriculture that farmers are changing. So it is about control over water and assured energy.
Okay.
If you depend on the control over water on unassured energy, again it is not going to work. Like fossil fuels, previously farmers were using this kerosene or diesel run machines. So with the increasing fuel costs, it is not sustainable. The cost of water is very, very high.
Nor is it good for the environment.
Very true. So with the advent of this solar panels and the access to solar energy is now increasing, and the prices are going down, and government is providing a lot of resources to adopt this renewable energy access. Yeah. So renewable energy access by government and control over water, we kind of merged it together. So how a community managed irrigation system can be designed, that can be managed by the community, and with one infrastructure, there are about 20-25 farmers can be benefited. And all these decisions can be made by the women self-help groups that is sitting there. So it is a kind of a mixture of all this. And with that,
they own it themselves.
Yeah, they own it themselves.
They had to get a loan, they had to purchase it, they own it, they take care of it.
Yes. Okay. And for that, the design was there. So previously there was a challenge that to design such a irrigation system, you need a trained engineer.
Yes.
And that to a government engineer, yes, who basically approves that, yes, this is the design. So the solution provided here was smartphone based applications that it replaced an engineer. So once the community decides they want a solar powered irrigation system, they identify the spot where the water is good and mark the area. So it calculates the geography, it calculates the total head required and the length of pipeline required. So these are the three data farmer need to provide. And with the geolocation, the application calculates what is the what capacity solar panel is required, what capacity pump is required, how much pipeline is required, and it generates a 19-page detailed project report without an engineer.
So there is some good technology can do for people. It's not all bad, right?
Yeah,
you're bringing in this wonderful knowledge which can empower people. Right. They're not at the hands of other people that might be slow or might require a little encouragement here, that they can do it themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So after that, the DPR is the detailed project report is prepared, and it is prepared by the community.
Okay.
They take it to their community collective village organization, get it approved, and once it is approved, the money is coming to their village organization bank account. Okay. And based on that, they provide purchase order to the vendor, and the vendor supplies all the infrastructure. And once they assign, yes, the work is satisfactorily, it is paid by the village organization. So it is power of transaction with the community. So they design, they implement, and they do the transactions also. So there is a lot of transparency and ownership. Yeah. They believe that this is their system and they did it.
Nice.
And for government, it is a very easy process because these are standardized. They need not a lot of legwork and visiting all the places. So in very quickly, in 3 years time, there were more than 700 such schemes working for the farmers. Wow. And this is all designed by a very small team. Every block has a team of 3-4 people. We call it project formulation team, supported by one TRI team sitting at the national level, at state level, and supporting SRLM, the State Rural Livelihood Mission, to provide strategic guidance and linkages and how these things can be implemented. So this small team worked very smartly, and in 3 years time, 700 hamlets or 700 farmers groups have got this irrigation, and this is an investment of about around 700 million rupees that goes to the community, and very quickly large number of farmers have access to irrigation that is solar powered. Right. And this, it has basically helped farmer to get a lot of confidence that every day when sun rises, my field will get water. Yes. Yeah. So I think this has created quite a lot of traction. So community ownership as well as ownership by the government, because things are transparent and it is very easy to do. And I believe it's actually affected the lives of 10,000 farmers. Yes, almost like that. Yeah. Which is amazing. Fields that were fallow
or that maybe produce something one crop a year,
Yeah.
can now produce crops that they
crops.
can feed their families with and also
And,
sell.
yeah.
It's amazing, connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Let's talk about trees for a second.
Mhm.
It's very easy to say, oh, we all need trees and let's grow orchards and let's make the world a better place. But when you need money,
Mhm.
it's easy, isn't it, to take the tree and say, okay, now that it's tall enough, let's cut it and sell it for firewood because, man, I need money today, right?
Right.
And that's a problem because then we don't have the sustainable forests anymore, and we don't have the benefits and the fruits of the trees, right? You have a scheme in place that you're working with several different international banks as well, the carbon finance scheme, right? That's trying to reverse this trend in Jharkhand. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it is kind of how this now globally the carbon markets are emerging. So there are a lot of resources available for people who can protect and nurture trees. And the farmers where we are working, they are anyway growing crops or growing trees and protecting trees. So we thought that can this matchmaking can happen? Can they leverage the resources, the opportunities that is emerging? Because these farmers are anyway growing trees, and the trees are providing a lot of economic support or economic incentive to the growers. At the same time, they are providing a lot of environmental services to the community or population or the people at large.
Right.
And when there are resources available outside, how these common farmers can connect with this global carbon market?
Okay.
And but presently it is very difficult because there are a lot of first is it is not transparent. Second, they don't know how to go about it.
Okay.
So we are now creating a system where these smallholder farmers who are nurturing and protecting trees can access to this global carbon market and get incentive of it. At the same time, it unlocks a lot of resources, so the new farmers can also join and plant trees.
Nice.
And protect it for a long time, because as the tree grows, it sinks a lot of carbon, and the revenue from the carbon is also increasing apart from the other economic gains or the fruits it is producing. So there is an incentive for the farmers to retain the trees.
Yes.
And I believe it will help the farmer, it will help the environment, and it will help the investors who are investing into this. So it is, I hope it is kind of beneficial for everybody.
Sounds like a design solution to me.
Maybe.
So that sort of brings me to the problems of climate change, and India and its rural and more vulnerable communities will be hit so badly. How do you see that going, and are we able to reverse some of the impacts and the trends yet? Are you working on schemes where you can try and inform farmers better? Is that part of it, or is there also actual on the ground work that can be done that can prepare them for the changes that are about to come?
Yeah, it is happening on the ground, and what I learned that farmers are very quickly they gather what is happening, what is carbon finance and what these trees are doing. So like in one community meeting, a farmer just said, oh, I understood what you are talking about. In cities, you don't have land and you produce a lot of smoke. But here we have a lot of land and we are not producing any smoke here. There are very little carbon dioxide that is coming from our operations. But you need trees to absorb all the carbon. Yeah. So we are planting trees on our land. Yeah. So we need to be incentivized. We need to be paid. Yeah. So the farmers are understanding this is one. Second, we also understood that the trees are much more resilient than seasonal crops, particularly the economic trees, fruit trees, or even the long-term other forest produce trees. They produce a lot of forest produce. So they need not to cut the trees, but harvest whatever the trees are producing and sell it and again economically. So, and they are less affected by the seasonal fluctuations of the climate change, like the floods or high temperature. Trees are much more resilient. So slowly we as well as the farmers understanding tree-based cropping systems are much more resilient cropping systems. They require less water. They provide economic services, as well as they are much more resilient. They conserve the soil, and with trees, with the living roots there, the soil health is also increasing. The soil's physical, biological and chemical property change when the trees are there.
I was going to ask you about that. It's good for the soil too, which is completely deplenishing. Yeah, great.
So with the traditional agriculture, there is a lot of soil work and it depletes the soil, but tree-based cropping system enriches the soil with every cycle. So we see it is a kind of a virtuous cycle rather than exploiting
And
cycle.
again, this this doesn't have to be a multi-acre orchard, right?
No.
This can be a small acre can have a few trees that produce this on one end, while you have your crops or your livestock on the other.
Yeah,
right?
so it requires hardly a half acre of land. So half acre of land, you can have 50 fruit producing trees.
Right.
And 200 kind of a timber trees on the periphery. At the same time, you grow intercrops.
Right.
And intercrops can be high value crops like strawberries or some other crops. And when the trees grow a little denser, you can have another kind of high value crops like spices and cardamom and black pepper. So basically it is a kind of a oasis that generates benefits for everybody.
Not to mention some nice shade, which we could probably do with right now.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you one or two more questions before we wrap up, as it is getting a little hot now.
Yeah.
You were saying that farmers, we assume that farmers don't want to take risk. We assume that farmers don't have the same aspirations as those in the city. There's the migration that's happening. But a lot of the work that you're doing, trying to reverse the migration and show prosperity on the farmland, is producing people with very high aspirations. Yeah. Tell me now, please. We've gone from the Lakpadidi program, where we're trying to say, hey, you can earn this amount. Let's start here. But you and TRI is taking it further. You're helping people dream of being rupee millionaires, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the Millionaire Development Program.
So, okay. As I said, India is a diverse country, and even in a small village, you will find diverse community. Their resource endowment, their skills, and their aspirations. Based on that, there are some farmers who are still at subsistence level. They are growing to survive. But there are some surplus and some high-performing farmers. We call them star farmers.
Okay.
Their aspirations are very different. And in every community, we will find these people there. So we thought that how these people can contribute to the development of other people. Their resource endowment and their aspirations are very different. Rather than people coming from outside and helping these farmers, why not work with the champions, local champions, and they can create an example in the local area, and it will help other farmers to follow. So we thought that why not these farmers? We will work with these high performing and star farmers and create examples in the local area. And from there, this Millionaire Farmer Development Program started, and we thought that let us aspire for now. Lakpati is everywhere. 10 Lakpati, 1 million rupees. Is it possible to earn 1 million rupees from 1 hectare of land with these farmers sitting here?
It sounds impossible.
Yeah, but it is happening.
It's happening.
It is happening. So it is a kind of a long-term project. So we work with the farmers for around, and we prepare them that can you work for about 5 years, and let us think, is it possible to earn 1 billion rupee from by farming?
Yep.
And since these are high aspirational farmers, they agree and they stayed with the program, and they changed their agriculture.
Right.
It is a very diverse agriculture. So high value trees came in the picture, high value crops came in the picture, water conservation, some livestock, and managing their resources in a better way, that has emerged. And we are in the 4th year of this program, and many of the farmers are earning in the tune of more than 8 lakh rupees. And many of them are doing, many times people believe that this is going to a very extractive agriculture, the way it is happening in Punjab or other developed areas. They are following sustainable practices. So these are tree-based cropping system, high value crops, and they understood how to select a crop. So these crop choices are very different than the way their parents were choosing the crops. So they understand the agroecology, they understand the market demand, what is there in the market that is in demand, and they access the production technology. And many times the technology are a little expensive, so they also connect with the government programs. So government has a lot of agricultural programs, and that can help them to access the productive infrastructure like polyhouses, small polyhouses or net houses, that brings a lot of resilience and protection to the agriculture. Then high value trees like mangoes or strawberries or blueberries or even stevia or flowers, they grow as intercrops. At the same time, they intensify their existing cropping system, the rice or millets that they are growing. So they are growing rice and millets where they are most suitable. They are growing horticultural crops where it is most suitable, and at the same time bringing some livestock and doing some water management, because they need to have control over water. and with government support they are accessing infrastructure like drips and mulch and planting material or other government subsidies that is coming for farmers. They access that because they are educated, and very soon they create a example in the local area, and suddenly that their farms are changing, and other people coming. This guy is doing things very differently, and they become like a hotspots and inspiring others. And the best thing I found that now the youngsters are coming. They understood that going to big cities they are earning 10-12,000 rupees per month, and here somebody is making 8 lakh rupees, so it is much more than what they are earning in other cities. At the same time they are enriching their resources. They are staying at home, and they are enriching the whole economy. So the whole village economy changes. So this is the kind of a program that we are planning. This is a future oriented, and we believe that there are champions in the community, and they can change the rural ecosystem and the rural economy if they are provided enough spaces and designed interventions with them, and stay with them a little longer time.
And you're building their knowledge and their capacities, and you're training them, and that's the program is basically helping them along the way, right?
Yes. So like one of the best thing that happened that when they go to the market and they ask, what is the cost of these strawberries? What is the price of these cantaloupes? What is the price of these blueberries? And how come persimmons are coming all the way from Turkey?